help us. So I must commend you, the students, from your faces. Quite a number of you, you've been consistent. You understand? And I'm sure you are not losing much. Even though you'll be bashed and slashed and, cut and whatever system, it is for you to be refined. As you're refined, you see you become better and better and better. And I want to thank you for your cooperation. So please continue to give the cooperation to the department, okay, the HOD and all other colleagues and your supervisor. Okay? You are in good hands. And again, I want to stress the issue of the PG guideline. Okay? Blessed is who is he or she, okay, that obeys the guideline. Success is yours. Hallelujah. So let me warn you, because we have gone through, the leadership has really exposed me. It has further enriched me and the faculty PG rep. In fact, she's even moving faster than myself. You understand? And it's a privilege that we have Professor Bennett. Believe me, you give her what she flips like this, she will tell you almost 40% of, she will assess it at least up to 40%. Just by flipping. So every day, and I'm proud that from this department and from this faculty, that she's always engaged in so many vivas within the campus. So I think it is quite commendable. So we recognize your efforts, Professor Belen, and we'll continue to pray that God will continue to enrich you and strengthen you to carry on with this exercise. And to all that deserve, what else can I say? Wonderful. You are doing a countless job. I'm telling you, right from my time, up to his own, and now to Sakiyaki's regime. You understand? In the whole front, we used to sleep before, we used to sleep with our eyes open. But when he came on board, we were not sleeping with our 2 eyes closed. Because he's always fighting the wars for us. Both the physical and spiritual. So thank you so much for this opportunity. And I want to wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dean. While the Dean was giving his opening remarks, the Deputy Dean came in person of Professor Sam Wakwera. You are welcome. It will make you, I don't know, what member, you become an associate architect very soon. They always welcome your comments. They are always
Urban architect.
Yes, urban architect. I love that. Yes, yeah, urban architect, and you are always identifying. Even before you became the deputy dean, you have always been a friend of the department, and we always appreciate your wonderful and concise remarks. You always bring the international into the local project. We always look forward to having you. Professor Jimbo, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And now I would like to invite our able head of department, the Serki Yaki still. I don't know who is the Serki Yaki now anyway. Oh, he has retired. Yes. The replacement. Thank you, sir. Please give him a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Seminar Coordinator. First and foremost, I would like to welcome our able dean to this seminar. Sarah, we are very grateful. Thank you very much for having the time to attend our seminar. I know your mind is always because in this department, so we're ever grateful for that. And secondly, I would like to welcome my colleagues here. First and foremost, let me mention the chairman of the seminar, Professor Lecture, Shane Reach me. You don't finish me. Secondly, I would like to welcome our able Deputy Dean, Professor Wera Samuel Wera. You're welcome, sir. And my very good friend and colleague, Professor Timo. You're welcome, sir. Needless to say, the PG coordinator, Professor Vele, has been welcomed by the Dean very well. Our students here too, I welcome all of you. As the Dean has said, most or all of you are very consistent in the seminar, the PhD seminar. I would like you to keep it up. As he said, you're lucky here and you're in good hands. So I hope you will take that opportunity and work hard also. So actually, all has been said by the Dean and the seminar coordinator. There will be no need for me to talk much. Rather, I will just hand over to the seminar coordinator to continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, HOD. Now the moment we've been waiting for, our chair will give his remarks and lead us through the seminar. Today we have two candidates, Livingston Daniel Bakalu and Inalegu Ella, and they will be making a progress seminar in the case of the former and a proposal seminar in the case of the latter. Thank you very much, Mr.
Please kindly recognize the presence of Musa.
Oh, I'm very sorry. Just sorry. Please. He said the opening prayer, but I didn't actually say anything special. Sir, you're welcome. You are already a reader before you're a reader. Because there's never any pitch from the minute he came back from Malaysia, he has been working. And he's been reading and he's been making cogent contributions to everything we are doing here. He is an invaluable resource, and I want to encourage you that those of you that are just starting, please get to know him. He will demystify the coursework for you. He will demystify the proposal work for you. In fact, he will just demystify the entire process. Dr. Yes, it's a prophecy. It's just a matter of time. Yes, Dr. Dr. Joshua Insa. Yes, he's a prince from the department. Thank you very much. Sorry for that. Thank you for that. Yes, and there are some other people here. No, you cannot hide. Yes, you may not be doing your program here, but this is our able exam officer. Yes, in person of architects and I'm almost calling you by your father's name. I went and then I stopped at here. Yes. How many children are still calling you with your father's name? I'm sorry. So she's also running her program in another university, but we value your coming here. Thank you. And feel free the big fish behind me, because I didn't introduce her formally. 5 and 6 in terms of this. We tell you, when we were running this PhD, you know, any race that you run, if you don't have somebody that runs with you, you cannot run fast. Everybody goes on about the speed. If I can call a tangible contribution to whatever speed I made in my PhD program, I have to give her that credit, because she makes you run for it. And if you don't know that she's a university resource, she is. It's not just because she's a child of a professor that she has always been a professor right from the beginning. And I'm so excited that the faculty will enjoy what the department has already been enjoying in the person of Professor Ebele Obianju Ebele Kowe.
flawless presentation.
Thank you very much. The floor, our able chair.
All right, thank you very much, the seminar coordinator. First of all, I want to appreciate the presence of the Dean, Faculty of Environmental Sciences, in person of Professor Y.C. Sati. I want to also appreciate the presence of our head of the department, Professor Adamu Salisa. I want to also welcome the Deputy Dean of our able faculty, Faculty of Environmental Sciences, the person of Sam Wabwela. I also want to welcome Professor Jimo. You are welcome, sir. And our PG coordinator, both at the departmental and at the faculty. You are welcome.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Inusa Yaptor, who happens to be my good friend. You are welcome.
Thank you.
All the PhD students, staff of the department. I've not forgotten about you, Anne. You are welcome. She's busy with the exam issues, but yet she's here. We thank you for finding time to be here. Yeah, the PhD students, you are all welcome. Well, I count it a great privilege to chair this session of today's seminar. And as our custom is in the department, all of you will testify that our seminars are always very, very rich. Rich in the sense that we have people that have the time to go through the work, and then they will be able to direct the student accordingly, and then the student on his own part will be able to take corrections and then make amendments and then make another further presentation in other seminars. So this morning will not be different. This work have already been given to some individuals to look at, and I believe they are going to make a meaningful contribution as we go on with this seminar. First of all, I want to let us know that I will be time conscious. I don't want a seminar that will drag and drag and drag. We're going to go straight to the point. If you have a contribution, be straight to the point. And if you are trying to help the candidate, please ensure that you point out the issue. If it's question, you ask the question, and then the candidate will respond. And then we don't need to drag it. And to the candidates that will be making presentation, anytime you are being asked a question, be direct to answer. And then let's save our time. If it's something that you have to take note, just say it is noted, and then I think we go from there instead of wasting time. So we'll not take too much time. We are going straight into the presentation, and we are going to take. Well, you are going to be given. This is seminar 1, I mean. 2. It's 2. Okay, seminar 2. So you are going to be given 15 minutes. 10. Okay, 10 minutes. Sorry, 10 minutes. We'll be given 10 minutes. And then, do we still have our timekeeper available? Yes. I believe you will take charge. So that you give him a warning when maybe it's 5 minutes, and then final warning when it is 3 minutes. They let us know when it's time up. So, we want to present Livingston Daniel Panachi, who is going to make the presentation. And so you have 10 minutes to make your presentation, after which those that were given the work will bring in their contribution, and then we go on to finish and then get to the second candidate. So the floor is for you.
Dean, Professor Sati, Deputy Dean, Professor Sam Wabwela, the HOD, MS Adamu, the PG Coordinator, Professor Nwere Kowe, the PhD coordinator, Professor Wally, the seminar coordinator, Professor Oladisa, professors present, senior colleagues, and fellow candidates. My name is Livingston Daniel Opakalo, and I'm assessing digital tools on palatial structures for architectural heritage conservation in Edo State, Nigeria. Before now, I was asked, my tracking matrix dealt with 5 core areas. One of them was the title, and I was specifically asked to re-examine my title for clarity, which is what we saw in the initial title, that for clarity purpose. And aim and objectives, I was told about conservation, that is a broad term. I should be able to, sustainability must be considered. Now, I used the various charters, recommendations from UNESCO, Bora, Faro, and ICOMOS. Hypothesis, my supervisory team discovered that hypothesis was not necessary in my specific research, so it has been expunged. References and citations, I was asked to replace citations with more recent ones. Label diagrams, use reference manager if my original draft has solved all that. Clarification on AI usage, clarify how AI is applied in notices, that has also been resolved. This is basic outline for this particular presentation. Introduction, chapter, literature review. Background and problem statement of this study. African palaces are living symbols of Edo North heritage and hold intangible values. We look about rituals, meanings and traditions, clan identity. They drive cultural tourism and local skill preservation. Now the challenges: climate-driven decay, urban encroachment, and reliance on outdated hand-drawn surveys, which has hindered timely upkeep. What is the research focus? Integrate building information modeling, artificial intelligence, and 3D scanning framework tailored for African palaces context. We're talking about ethnic architecture and cultural needs, tangible and intangible. The aim is to significantly improve heritage documentation accuracy, enable proactive maintenance of palatial structures, foster active community involvement in conservation efforts. What are the research objectives? This research objective is based on Bloom's taxonomy, and the first is to evaluate BIM for accurate palace documentation, assess AI tools for predictive structural monitoring, use 3D scanning to capture palace geometry, identify barriers to digital adoption, then to pilot an integrated BIM AI scanning conservation framework. Now, each objective builds sequentially. Objectives 1 and 2, 3 evaluate individual technologies. Objectives 4 uncovers practical constraints, while 5 climaxes in proposing and testing a holistic solution. Conceptual framework, interlocking model integrating digital technology, context and outcomes for conservation. Unified workflow combining BIM, AI and 3D scanning into one unified process. Addresses both tangible architectural, structural, and intangible cultural, clan, identity, meanings, and what have you, heritage aspects of the research. Now, we're looking at theoretical foundations. The theoretical foundations we have is based on basically 2 specific theories. The unified theory of acceptance. This part of the foundation depends on perceived usefulness and ease of use, while the system theory places the palace conservation view as an integrated social technical system that we're talking about people, technology, and environment in a feedback loop. The framework will be guided by user acceptance factors and a holistic system view. Methodology and implementation. We look at case study, applied digital workflow on selected African palaces, participatory approach, involve local custodians, training workshops to build digital skills, data collection, capture 3D scan, and create building information models, conduct stakeholders interviews and surveys, analysis, compare digital versus manual documentation accuracy, look at thematic analysis or feedback on technological adoption. Literature review, tangible and intangible. Architectural heritage encompasses the built structures and environment that hold historical culture and social significance for a community. These include grand monuments, but also vernacular buildings, sacred sites, and their associated intangible values. That is traditions, rituals, meanings, and what is attached to these places. Evolution of conservation principles and guidelines. Evolution of conservation principles. Heritage theory evolved from material restoration, which is anchored, which is sponsored by Violet Ledoc of France, who worked on Notre Dame de Paris Cathedral in France. Then we moved to authenticity, which is championed by John Brodsky, who worked on Doge's Palace in Venice. We moved to minimal intervention, which is the birth of the Venice Charter in 1964, sorry, to then cultural significance, which is the birth of ICOMOS in 1965. And now the contextual authenticity, which has moved from various conventions, from heritage conventions to Bora Charter to UNESCO, heritage urban landscape to conventions, promotes people-centered heritage and sustainability. All advocate for technical, cultural, and community-inclusive digital tools for conservation. We look at photogrammetry, light detection, and ranging scanning. And we look at heritage building information modeling. We look at also artificial intelligence monitoring. Identify research gap. Research gap, digital tools often used in isolation need a unified workflow. Context gap, few heritage technology studies addresses African vernacular sites. Then you have the cultural gap, intangible heritage. We look at rituals, oral history, meanings. It's not well integrated into current digital documentation methods. Expected outcome, high accuracy digital record of palace architecture, predictive maintenance via AI predictions, empowered community participation in managing heritage, their own heritage site, and scalable model for other vernacular heritage sites. These are my selected references. Now, remember that digital conservation is not about technology for its own sake, but about safeguarding architectural heritage by making conservation accurate, proactive, and community-driven. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Livingston Daniel Opakal, for that presentation. You are actually able to present your work within the stipulated time. So we commend you for that. Right now, as I mentioned earlier, we will give opportunity to people that were given the work so that they can make their contribution, having had the presentation. And then after that, we will now open the floor for people to make their contribution or questions regarding the presentation you have made. And you also have to understand that in our own way of making the whole work to be easy, the work has been given to so few people to go through it and then they'll make their presentation, which is going to be better. So at this point, I will first of all invite Professor Jimo to make his comments.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Standing on the existing protocol, I want to appreciate the students also for the effort so far. However, here are some of my observations. Starting with acknowledgement, this might be minor, but as architects, there's a need for us to be ordered. There's an order in which this acknowledgement is usually done, not haphazardly. And like I said, this is minor, but I think we should observe it as a department because I think the information is also agreed to by the team. You will find information. Your acknowledgement is you need to start with your dean, both the office and the person of the dean, the HOD, the department. Of course, without those structures, what are we doing? We can't be here. Then followed thirdly by your supervisor, and then the list can go on to wherever you want to go. You need to have that. It shows respect to the environment and the framework in which this work is hinged. If not, we're just dancing in the air. So that's the acknowledgement. Your next item is your synopsis. I've said it with times without number that we need to come up with our PhD, write our PhD in a way that is easy to be understood. Because PhD basically you are being exceptionally knowledgeable about something that is simple. So it's simple, but you're exceptionally knowledgeable about it. And trying to find gaps. It is not an exercise in trying to cause confusion or trying to find out the capacity of the reader of the thesis, whether he can understand or not. It's not. You are fond of being baboos in most of the things you do. You use plenty words, unnecessary big words, and this causes problem in work. I know this is not the first time I'm making this comment about it. For instance, your synopsis, this synopsis is 3 sentences. Hold on. It's 3 sentences, so you just keep going on, comma. Find on 3 of them, the whole of the synopsis. So it's quite confusing to read and understand. Because inevitably what I will be doing is to try to find where the commas should be and try to put them. And when I put them, I will change your thinking pattern. That might not be what you are thinking. So simplify this thing. Be passionate about it. Not only I know you are passionate about what you are studying, but be passionate about getting people to understand what you do. Except if you intentionally want to hide something. Or if you don't, let us write in such a way that you carry us along. When I read this work, oftentimes I have to keep it, go back to somebody's work before coming back to your work. Because, sorry, I'm being a bit harsh. I'll pray to you. It's producing headache when you do that. Because it's so difficult to conceptualize what you are trying to do. So have that method behind your mind. Anytime you write, can I write as simple as possible? Short sentences is just the basis of making yourself quite understandable. Once you start using command and you keep going on and on, you're going to end up with this problem. Now, I noticed there's a word that is repeated all over your work, and a phrase, and that phrase is palace custodian. Palace custodian. And like I said, it's the use of, you're just trying to use some so-called big words, because it doesn't portray what you're trying to say. Palace custodian, I guess you are referring to, or I suspect or assume you are referring to people who might want to need to document palace style use of material. You see, they're shaking their head, which is that, and that's my true assumption. But apparently my true assumption is wrong because of the word. Can't we find the simple word? You know, when I saw the word palace custodian, the first thing that came to my mind is that I was born and I grew up in it. There are these people in northern culture, we call them Dogare, you know them? They are basically palace guards. They wear this red and green outfit. They are palace custodians. Are they the people we are working for? There are in some areas you have people who are, their specialty is in fetish practices. They are balanced for students. I don't know people are working for. And I see this use of this term all over the world. So we need to find out who these fathers or find a word that will not fall prey to plenty of interpretations that might cause confusion with the examiner and even the examiner. And then your work seems to, right from the get-go, assumed that, let me read what you said. Two-dimension drawings and, well, basically you're saying that, okay, the study confronts the inherent feeling of hand-measured solid, two-dimensional drawings. How, that is your proposition. And how do we accept that? Are we, is it true? Have we done research into that? And virtually this is your first statement in this research, that the two-dimensional drawings have failed. It might be true, like we tell our PhD students, but you can't make that assumption. I suggest we, even if we know that there are challenges concerning two-dimension, let's not preempt the work by starting from that presumption that 2D has failed. Because somebody can take your answer, how has 2D failed? Then the next question I ask is that, do we even have the 2D of the balances? So what basis are we saying it's failed? It has failed. The balance you're studying, do they have 2D forms? I don't think they do. Especially in the locality where you are studying. I don't think there's a development control authority. So they don't even have drawings. And we are stating that two-dimensional drawings are failed. And this assumption also is repeated in plenty areas in your work. Like I said, there's this interesting statement here. It says efficiency and cultural authenticity of a bespoke digital approach. So please, let's try and simplify some of these case studies, and then let's move to your aims and objectives. The study aims to develop an empirically evaluate a context-sensitive digital framework that integrates DMI, AI, and laser scanning with a new improved. What's that English? A new improved documentation, accuracy, enable predict. This is the same sentence. Enable predictive maintenance and strengthening community-driven conservation of historical fallacies in ephemeral language. We need to simplify this. And this is an aim. We need to simplify so that we know what. Some of us might understand what you're saying. I might not, even if like the last question I asked you, I might be making wrong assumptions because of the way it is done. Now, I looked at your objective, some of the terms, I wondered what the research question I was discussing with each of you. Now, all the research questions and aim of an objective, you find it hard to measure them. How do you say, for instance, second objective, explore through interview. How do we relate with that? And generally speaking, concerning your work, I'm beginning to wonder what are we going to come up with? Is it documentation that's going to state that there are no documentation, AI-based or BIM and AI-based documentation? Is that what we're going to produce at the end of the day? I only saw the fifth one which says that you're hoping that the BIM and AI will be completely done for one of the fallacies. That might be a contribution to knowledge at the end of the day. But because all the other aims are objectives, I don't know how we're going to. It looks as if we're just trying to find aims and objectives and research questions. So those are the areas we need to. And what I worry about that is that this challenge that makes your aim and objectives will come to play when you have almost finished the work. Then it will become difficult to defend the work after you have gone so far. because we begin to ask ourselves, what is the contribution of human resources? Some of us are also afraid of the scope because it seems to be this particular palace. And I remember you showed us pictures. So I have a time where I remember the pictures in which you showed concerning one of the palaces. And we are seeing that that palace has been heavily modified. I remember seeing pictures of louvers, window louvers and things like that. But at the end of the day, if we do a PMI AI scanning of that, are we going to have any kind of documentation that is going to be eye-opening concerning heritage preservation? Because we discovered that most of what we have preserved has been lost. So you might need to broaden your scope, even if you mean finding another palace that seems to have the traditional material design styles and all of that, so that we don't do work on a series of palaces that are highly modified, and then at the end of the day, we find it hard to see what we have done. I think I'm going to.
Sorry, I think the Chinese see.
Okay, yeah. I think this is all I have. Yes.
Thank you very much, Professor Timo, for all the comments you made regarding the work. Thank you so much for going through the work and then you're able to make this contribution. Thank you so much. We go in this order. Okay, sorry. The discussers. Inusa, you have a copy, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, so please, Dr. Inusa, can you please make your comment regarding the work?
Okay. Thank you for this opportunity to assess this work. I will start from, at least Professor Jimo talked about the very first sentence in the synopsis, in which I also highlighted. I quite agree with him on what he has said. So I will not waste time about that. I think I will just go straight to, okay. On page 5, you presented a map of Edo State showing, you said 3 senatorial zones. Actually, officially we say senatorial districts, not zones, right? So your use of terms, in a way, you use terms haphazardly. You use zone in terms of the senatorial districts, and you use zone in terms of, there's a place you mentioned, you say, is it South-South zone? So all these things, you need to harmonize and be consistent in your use of terms. So the diagram here you presented, I can see several colors here, but you said 3 senatorial districts. I expect that you should have 3 basic partitions. If we are going to have colors, then we have 3 separate colors to show those senatorial districts. So you should take note of that. And then the numbering of your figures, the plates, should go sequentially, just 1, 2, 3, no 6A and B, since they are separate pages for them. They are separate figures. Then let me go to your aim and objectives. If you see your work, you see that underline some words. It doesn't mean anything. I just underline them for reference sake. So once there is no comment, it means there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just trying to just underline them to see. Actually, you presented your aims, your research questions almost sequentially, in which I can see from your presentation, I can see improvement on even this particular presentation here. I rate, so I see improvement on your presentation. So you need to go back and look at what you've done there, and then try to adjust them based on what it is. Although in some instances, as we keep talking about the use of your terms, most of the times, try to be consistent with your keywords from your research title, right? Because if I can even say basically you use AI to write so much, in the sense that you see, when you use AI, they generate terms for you. So they keep changing the patterns of the terms because it's a language model. So they are not thinking for you. So if you sit down and revise the work so that it will align with your own work. We are not saying that the use of AI is a sin, but it's the most important thing is for you to revise the work so that there is consistency in the use of terms, your keywords. So I'll give you an example here. You can see I cycled the intricate architecture of affirmate land. So by the time, as soon as I see this intricate architecture, I know that it's AI that wrote this thing. It's not you. In research, you don't use hyper words that hype a certain concept or anything. Use simple words. Go straight to the point. Don't generalize. Don't overgeneralize. Don't do anything. You are doing research. If you go through your the comments I put here, you can see that some places I put citations. Any statement you make that is not a factual statement that anybody can agree with it, there must be citation, there must be evidence to support that statement. You understand? So you can say something and I will not agree with you, and then that in itself will put you in a defensive position. So in citing your tables, that's your tables, figures, don't put them far away from the figure or table. In text, when you make reference to the table, you say table 1. So I can see in this work, you put table 1 and it's almost about 3 pages away from where you then okay, so the use of some of these words, I can see that you are talking about Internet of Things and other things, but you didn't make reference to them at the opening of at the introduction, at the opening of your thesis. Here you mentioned, there is a word here, you mentioned architectural and intangible heritage. But okay, then shortly after that you say tangible versus and intangible. So tangible and intangible are the ones that go together. That's the dichotomy. You understand? But architectural and intangible, they don't go together. You can only make reference that architectural is tangible. You understand? So I'm trying to look at the weakness of the workers before. So you presented a framework here, that's that framework here, page 15 here. So the framework is good, But this the first theory here, the first box, you should try to show the components of those theories in the box here, so that one can see the relationship clearly. Okay. So I think generally, I believe the work is researchable, and his aim and objectives, I can see that there is a tally with the research questions, and then with some of the keywords he picked from the title, is they go along with those these things. The issue is that is whether he is going to be able to deliver or not. Actually, we don't know, because based on what I see from the aim and objectives is that this research is a mixed method approach, in which there is a quantitative aspect and then there is a qualitative. So that is my own. Since we don't have much time, I think I will stop here.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Musa, for your contribution and comments on the work. Basically, we have three people that went through this work. One is Dr. Audi. It happens that Dr. Audi is not around. So, his own comments and other.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. I want to commend the candidate for the presentation. First of all, I want to start by reporting myself to you, Chair. We met with the candidate yesterday. Okay. If you look at what's the topic diverse from what we have, they actually saw me, and what we have is looking too loose somehow. You understand? And that is how we can, for us to have a clear direction. You understand? Having variables that one variable will work with the other variable to give us a symbiosis. Okay, and then we came up with this. And again, not to distort the content of, so this fits with what is here, although, like what Professor Jimo pointed out, the scope. And that was the first thing I pointed out, looking at the topic. Because here he said, he talked about one palace. And I said, so all this is, we'll sit down, all of us here and be listening just to one palace. You understand? So that's why we now change to palatial structure. And in Edo State, even though the specific is there, alright? So which means you will go beyond just that palace and then coming down to the specific. You understand? So the palatial now covers other plans within Edo State. And then gradually will not justify, the candidate will justify why that particular case. Having looked at others, it is perhaps there's something that makes it different. Is that not so? So that, I think, the candidate may still have to also look at that. You understand? It has still not distorted the content of what we have. You understand? I'm the chairman. I know his very first seminar, how he struggled, and honestly, I'm so delighted that you can see where we have a direction. So I must commend, first of all, the supervisors, and then the candidate that we are moving forward. You understand? And in agreement with my other colleagues, just to say what has not been said, even on what was said, like the aim, I suggest that it should be recast. Because to me, that one is sounding like the goal. The aim of a topic, it's more like you are repeating the topic, but you are using an active verb. It's either you have to tell us from the beginning. That is why you see assessing is coming in. There are epistemologies that we use that guides our own study, whether we are doing evaluation, examination, assessment. You understand? So right, it can appear on the topic or not. Because if you just say digital tools on financial business, it can stand. If you put assessing, it can stand. You know, in the British practice, I don't know which now, I stand to be corrected. Either British or American. You know, we are inclined to the British. But we get confused. Sometimes you see America coming in, and then you keep overlapping. So one does not need the active verb. I'm not sure whether America or British. Again, one doesn't need it. Okay? So, but however, for us here in Uni Jos and the department, I know we discussed this in the past. It doesn't matter whether you add it or not. You understand? But in this case, we have added it just for us to be able to have an idea what kind of study we're doing. So that's why the assessing. So, but even if you remove the assessing and you leave the others, you see it stands. Is that also? So that's why your aim should be, the aim of the study is to assess digital tools. You repeat the topic. That's how aim is cast. When you do not have the active topic, then your aim will now show us, it will bring in the active verb. Do you understand? So the aim is essentially you are just repeating the topic, but you're telling us what you want to do with the topic. So that's why I said you should recast it. You understand? So here we can look at it. We say the aim of the study is to assess digital tools of financial structures for architectural blah 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 Nigeria. Full stop. No grammar. But again, what is the goal? With the view to what? It is what you have written. It's the goal that you have on you in your writing. Because the goal is for you to what? Establish a framework. You understand? So once you state this with the active verb, then you tell us the goal. With the view to what? Perhaps to suggest a strategic intervention or to come up with what? Framework. Then your objectives. Be careful with the words. I'm like what my colleague said. I totally agree with them. You can't say quantitatively assess. It's wrong. You either establish or you examine or you determine. You are measuring. Because your objective is just to measure, you must have variables you want to measure. Here, if you look at some of them, you are saying you are mentioning two things. You can't bring two things. And all these things you have already fetched from your literature review. That is why you're raising questions from your literature review. You've gone through it, you're raising questions. It is the questions you now convert to what? Objective. And so, you should be careful that you use words that you are using to measure. If you're going to the field, you're going to measure the variable on your objective. As it is, it's like you're writing one abstract. You know, when you look at it, you can't say quantitatively assess. It is endless. You see that you are examining, you're determining one variable. Correct? That is for that. Your justification, look at the way you're writing your justification. It should be in paragraph. Like you see your numbering them. These are things together. My PG, am I correct? You write it in paragraph. Essentially, your justification, you put it, you don't number it because here you're saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it's not correct. You can fuse all these things and put it in 2 or 3 paragraphs. Okay? The significance of stuff, each one is architectural significance. It's not like, is it in your handbook? In the teaching guideline. The significance, you are stating the benefits. That one too is in paragraph. You see? Look at the way you're putting it, it's wrong. The substance is okay, but the way you're casting it, put it in paragraph. So you just add, you understand? Let's see it in paragraph, but it is explaining the benefits. Do you understand? So significance is about what are the benefits of the study. Then you mentioned methodology. I was shocked that at this level, I don't think we should be talking of methodology. You've not gotten to that yet. So why should we be talking of methodology? So please remove that. Don't even talk about methodology at this level. You understand? But now you're only trying to understand what others have said on this topic. And you're raising questions for you to establish the gap. Is that also? So don't even talk about gap. And then look at your plate. Look at what plate, what's something about look at see figure plates at table.
No, it's my answer.
Oh my God. Your plates, please. You don't say as shown. Sounds like primary school right now. Let it just flow. As we're discussing it, just say in figure. But don't say as shown or as demonstrated. It's wrong. Leave that one for secondary school. So you just, when you're making a statement, let it just flow in figure. And you have to be careful. You need to describe the table before you insert. When you describe something and then you place the table far away from what you are even discussing, just like he pointed out. You understand? So you don't, the moment you intend to have a place figure or whatever, you describe it carefully. And then you, in the in-text, you say in figure or in place, in this, in that. Then as you have finished discussing it, the next thing is that we see the place placed. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you very much, Dean, for that, for the comments and also contribution to the work. We are moving.
Sorry, can I seek clarification from the candidates, especially Daniel, on the use of your, like I said, the use of those terms. I saw plenty of this term in the book, palatial structure. Basically, you are studying palatial structure. By using this, does it include the house of any big man in that?
No, it doesn't. What is
the palatial structure?
these are definitions of the UNESCO recommendations.
So why don't we help ourselves by coming up with terms that are not possible?
All right, thank you so much, Professor Timon, for that interpretation. Even though I'm coming to that. HOD, any comment on the presentation?
Thank you, Chairman. Honestly, I must confess, I stand with confusion as far as this work is concerned. Things have been running, so many things have been running in my mind. Actually, this work, it has tools, digital tools. And these digital tools is looking at BIM, artificial intelligence, 3D scanning, those are the tools you're looking at. And you are looking at these tools, how do you deploy these tools in documenting palace structures? Am I right? So, the palace itself is physical, it's a physical object. But these tools are what? Intangible, or are they also tangible? They are intangible. They are tangible. So, you deploy them how? I mean, because when you say you're looking at structures, what is the problem with the existing structures in these palaces? Because I'm looking at, is it maintenance, is it conservation, is it preservation? Actually, I cannot pinpoint what exactly you're looking at. And because in the center of the problem, from your listening, you said you want to develop an empirical, you want to validate, so you want to validate these tools, so that you will say these tools are the tools to be used whenever we want to document. That is it. Okay. Well, actually, I don't know the problem with this. I don't know the problem with the structures. So this is okay, just documentation. You're not changing anything. No.
Preservation.
Okay. All right. It's okay.
Yes, Professor Ebele, any comments?
No, I think most of the comments I would have raised have already been addressed. However, just a question, more of a question around the scope. Because this title, I've seen the work at different stages. The current title now, as has been explained, has been tweaked somewhat. So, and now it is now going into palatial structures. And the initial one was on a particular palace, which was the Aftermine Palace. And I know the candidate must have indicated the scope of work, as Dr. Inusa said, concerns both quantitative and qualitative assessment of that particular structure. And now, with the scope being expanded and the amount of work that is going to be used, because I believe there's going to be some, it's a multifaceted research. There's going to be some quantitative data, there's going to be some quantitative, qualitative data, and at the same time, there's going to be simulation. Or is the simulation not part of it anymore? Or simulation has been dropped? Okay. Because then I would have expressed a little bit of concern for the candidate, whether he will be able to cope with the no simulation anymore. Oh, simulation. Because I was a bit worried about that. Simulation can be very expensive, so by going into palatial structures, more than just the palace, I think would have had to take a retirement or nothing. Support field work. To support the field work, but since we are not simulating it,
thank you very much, Prof, for that comment. Okay, any other person please with any comment or observation based on the presentation? If there's none, as a chairman, I guess I will
add something, because I assessed him based on the title here, enhancing this architecture. But based on this one now, the assessing digital tools, from this title, I can see that, is it that there's likelihood that you are going to kind of develop the way those tools can be used in preservation? That's the documentation and so many other things, adaptive reuse and all these things. Okay, so it's okay.
It's all right. Thank you so much. Yes.
Just ask for clarification.
Okay.
You mentioned something about the order for acknowledgement. So I wanted to find out from the PG coordinator which one is.
Well, I think we don't need to go into that. You have your PG guideline, and all those things are there. They are there. And that acknowledgement is there. You don't need to just go through it, follow it accordingly. We don't need to waste time on that. Thank you. As a chairman, I took my time, went through the work, and then was able to make some comments and observations, which many have been tackled, which I don't think I will repeat because of time. Starting with the topic, when I came and I saw assessing digital tools on palatial structure, I said, I'm having enhancing, until when the dean himself whispered to me that this topic was actually the phrase yesterday, which I said, that's good. That was my first place of comment. And if you look at it, even though there's a little bit of change, but we are working towards the same goal, I said, reframe the topic as assessing digital technologies for conservation of architectural heritage, a case study of palaces in Afamailand, Edo State, Nigeria. That's my comment. So you look at it. But if that's not, just go. They are going hand in hand. I don't think there's anything. So it's just changing heritage and then bringing, it's just the same thing. So just look at the suggestion and then work together with your five sources. And
not his suggestion, a case study of palaces. It makes everything clear.
yes. So
Unambiguous.
yeah. So you look at it, it's written here, you can just go through the work.
You understand? Instead of the palatial,
Yeah.
we say palace.
Yeah.
You understand?
So just look at it.
Let him know the structure.
What we're having here is the copy of the work will be given to you. So at least with this, as if we are having direction. All right. Okay, please can we have one house?
She said it's like that Honorable Patrick. Political green cooker. She's great.
It's all right. Okay, that's what they mentioned. So please, your chapter 1. I say your chapter 1 is full of citation because this is not literature review. In chapter 1, we're expecting you to speak to the work. We're expecting you to tell us the direction of where you're going. Not to tell us that according to so, it's not, that's not literature. So try to avoid the use of citation so much. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be citation, but when you make it so much that every statement, like every paragraph, it has a citation. And that should have, then what are you saying? And that's what I said. Then when you look at that chapter 1.1, it says it's background to the study, not background of the study. So please correct it. Then the major thing again is the aim and objectives that was mentioned earlier. I don't want us to waste too much time. I have said if you are adopting this topic, there are certain research questions that we need to make them researchable because, like number 1, I said your research question should be how can digital technologies such as 3D laser scanning, photogrammetry, GIS, and so on and so forth, to systematically document the architectural features of Famai palaces, how, how to frame those. I have given suggestions on some of the questions. You go through them. And most of the time the questions now translate into your objectives. So you look at them because I have also done some for you just to look at it and then sieve it to your own way you want to apply it. And I said justification of the study is either justification of the study or statement of the problem, isn't it? I think they are the same.
Justification of
significance.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Justification and significance. Or significance. In your own case, in the topic I said justification of the study. But when you read it through, you are now talking about significance. So, if you are talking about significance, then let it be significant. If it is justification, then let your statement follow in that manner. Is that okay? Just like the dean mentioned, this issue of bringing methodology here in chapter 1, please, you just have to remove them. You can see I've cycled them, I say just respond them. They're not part of chapter 1, so don't do that. Because of time, we can't go into one page or the other, but every correction, I'll put it in pen so that you can have your time. And I said, what is missing in your literature? Your literature should be able to address global perspective of architectural heritage conservation. You didn't discuss that. You should be able to tell us globally what are they saying. And then indigenous knowledge and cultural identity of architectural heritage is also important. So that you can narrow it down to where you are. It's already here, check, and then you will be able to put it. The comment I will make finally is that I'm privileged that the first time you made your presentation, that's a proposal presentation, I was here, and I was the head of the probably knew how you went through the struggles. I think if it is crying, you would have cried. But at the end of the day, see where we are. That shows that we have been making very good progress. So, I think based on this topic, if not for anything, you are able to work with your supervisors well today. So that at the end of the day, we can now see the reason why we have seminars like this. So that we can be able to direct you and then share the work so that the work can be acceptable anywhere you make such a presentation. Because you cannot tell. Now, every PhD work is also put on the website of the university. So we discover that people from different countries can go through the work and then it's on the standard. So I think I want to commend you for the effort. I remember when I was secretary, I always make fun of you. I said, you need to pay rent because he's always here in this place. I said Daniel must pay rent here. And that is actually paying because actually he has been working. So please keep up the tempo, keep up the spirit because if people put this kind of effort, I think by now we wouldn't have been having a lot of backlog of people who are still managing. He came in 2022 and now it's at least making effort. There are people that 2019 they are still hanging. 2020 still hanging. Not making any progress. You are looking at me with I say Bala. I want to make names, affirmation, so that you feel provoked. So that you feel provoked to walk. Seriously. Daniel is ahead of you, so you better do something. So thank you. HOD.
He should be readmitted. Okay. But that should be readmitted. Let him apply.
So I think
I'm tired of seeing his face.
Finally on this I have to give the supervisor the opportunity to say one or two things, then we can now draw our curtain for the presentation today.
There's something I want to say here. I don't want to go with it.
Okay.
Yes, it's for the rest of the candidates. What this candidate did here, I was looking for it and I saw it. I'm so happy. This summary of literature findings and implications. Even in what do you call it? In PG board, these are things we look out for. They are basic. You understand? And then you're stating the gaps. That will reduce the whole work. You understand? You can see the summary. It's there. So please, let us try to work as a family. Pursue some of your colleagues and know what they are doing. You understand? We look for each other and try to follow some of these things. Because these are things we meet there. Alright? So once you follow it, honestly, usually the corrections are minor. We see it at faculty, PG board, and as FBC, Senate Business Committee. So these are components we look out for. You understand? And as I'm saying it, honestly, I'm quite delighted. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. The supervisors are here. Can we have some comments from you?
Well, first of all, we want to appreciate the panel. We're especially grateful that almost everybody that has seen the work right from the beginning has been positively giving comments. The idea or the notion that one should look for an easy ride negates the true focus of scholarship, academic rigor and scholarship. And we are especially grateful to all those right from the beginning who have patiently and painstakingly worked hard, whether at the seminar presentations here or behind the scenes, just to see that we move forward. We are very grateful to all the professors and of course the chair of the panel, and we are also assuring you that every single comment that you have made, we will sit with our candidate and we will put them all into consideration. We are especially grateful because the comments are not at variance. Many times you can have this kind of comments, and then you don't even know where to go because it's like they are pulling you in different directions. But honestly, it's just that PG school gives very little room for multiple supervisors. But I must say that even when he gets to, these are our co-supervisors, because the amount of, okay, I'm behind here too, yes. These are your co-supervisors because the amount of effort, commitment, and moral support that we have received as supervisors is unprecedented. And the only way we will say thank you is to ensure that all your comments are judiciously considered and put into action. We are very grateful again for the dean. It looks like a small thing, but there's the adage that says that what the elders will see lying down, the younger people, you will climb on the roof and you will not even see. From just tweaking the topic, it has given everybody a focus. Even our HOD that it does not appreciate, I noticed that once he saw that, it has just channeled all of us into a different perspective and unit. And I want to encourage all of us that are doing the PhD, please come. Please come. It's in the roasting of anything that value is added to it. That is what is killing us in Africa. We have the raw materials, but somebody goes to process it and then gives us the finished product. The finishing of you this is the finishing. This grilling and all. Professor Jimo is especially grateful because from day one you have always accepted. I must single you out personally. In fact, I know that the next seminar we are looking forward to having you as a leader so that we can not move away from the place and you can place us in a position of accountability always. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, the co-supervisor.
Well, thank you very much.
With your cup of tea in front.
Apology for arriving late
and yet taking tea.
It's weather. So yeah, thank you very much for this session, and I think I want to, as the main supervisor said, sincerely appreciate all the comments that have been made by readers and others who have also contributed. I think we kept saying it that it's still work in progress. The topic being the way it is and then the era it has found itself is going to have a lot of challenges, but we continue to adjust and adapt because at this level that we are, we have to bring everybody on board. Being technology driven, naturally it has the tendency to want to put people away, not be interested in it. I think I will appreciate what those who have took their time to really go into it. I sincerely want to also echo what the main supervisor has said, and in fact even trying to appeal if it could make part of the policy. The series of readers for any candidate should be maintained such that they will be following up the progress rather than jettisoning them and bringing those other set whose idea will entirely be different from how the focus and the going of the work is. So I think I liked this thought of her, and then I think if we can appreciate it, the HOD is here, the dean is here. I think if we adopt it, it's going to help us. So that as soon as we have made a set as readers, I think we can continue with them so that the progress can be achieved and then can be maintained consistently. With that, I want to thank everybody who has contributed. We'll go back to the drawing board and see what we can do. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, co-supervisor. I think based on this, we have now come to the end of today's presentation. I want to, okay. Presentation, we've come to the end of the presentation. Please,
you don't take a bow and
do you have anything to say?
No, I basically appreciate everybody's all the just as my supervisor has said, every other thing happened. And I remember Professor Bene calling me Obayabo. I'm not basically a client, but just I look at, I work with the technologies for all these people. So I thought it was okay to use those technologies, but now that I know.
This, thank you, that's better. All right, thank you very much. So, at this point, Dean, we thank you for staying with us up at this moment. We are going to take the second candidate, so that we don't need to take time. Our seminar coordinator.
Thank you
Over
very
to
much.
you.
Yes. So while the tech people are switching over to the second PowerPoint presentation, we are going to continue with this time a proposal seminar, and we are very excited that we have our tech people also here. So unfortunately, the main supervisor is on sabbatical, or normally she would be here, but I want to be sure that we make the link available to her, but she's ably represented by the co-supervisor in person of Professor Howard. So without much ado, we want to invite the chair to moderate this second and final session. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, our seminar coordinator. At this point, we are going straight to the second candidate, who is working on sustainable low-cost retrofit solution for enhanced thermal performance of the existing housing stock in Jos, Nigeria. So we'll now invite Ella Enalaigu for his presentation. You will just have, I would have said 5 minutes because it's just a proposal. But if you can work within the frame of 10 minutes, we'll still be okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, let me start by addressing the chairman of the seminar, Professor Lecture, the dean, Professor Waisati, the head of department, Professor Adamu, the seminar coordinator, Professor Oladisa, the PG coordinator, Professor Ewere Kowe, my supervisor who is unavoidably absent, Professor Alu, my co-supervisor, Professor Howard. We also have Professor Jimo and Dr. Inusa, and of course my esteemed colleagues. The topic is sustainable low-cost retrofit solutions for enhanced thermal performance of existing housing stocks in Jos, Nigeria. We have the table of contents, but I'll just go straight for want of time. Now, this research is hinged on climate change and how it's affecting heat waves. And currently, as we speak, there's a heat wave in Europe, and it is recording temperatures that are not even seen in some parts of Nigeria. We're talking about 45°C temperatures. And as these temperatures increase, preserving thermal comfort in a building is now a challenge for the health and also for the energy use of buildings. And a lot of research has been done on how to develop sustainable building practices. But this research has been focused on new buildings rather than existing buildings. And this is key because existing buildings make up more than 99% of current buildings. So if we are only looking at new buildings, we are not doing much. And that is why retrofitting comes to bear, because retrofitting is looking into the possibility of making existing buildings more energy friendly and, of course, to reduce their emissions. In Nigeria, there is a problem, and the problem is it has to do with non-bioclimatic considerations in the designs of our buildings. We have buildings everywhere made with sandstone blocks and mostly metal roofing sheets. And these roofing sheets and blocks, sandstone blocks, are not
bioclimatic to our environment, and therefore cannot sustain or provide thermal comfort for users. And with things like rapid urbanization, it only makes everything worse. The statement of the problem is the same inability of existing buildings to provide thermal comfort for their users without relying on active thermal cooling systems. And in Nigeria, we cannot rely on active thermal cooling systems because of poverty and, let me say, erratic power supply. We have light now and we will not have it the next second. And previous studies have shown that without research on how to develop sustainable approaches to tackle these problems, we are going to have health challenges. The research questions are simple. One thing we have to know is, what are the major barriers to the adoption of these passive cooling systems? Is it that people don't know about it? Is it that it is expensive? The second question is, out of the existing retrofits that exist today, which ones have the potential to reduce temperatures within buildings? The next question has to do with, what do existing studies reveal about the role of traditional building materials? Because, as I said earlier, we have departed from a bioclimatic style or consideration in our buildings. So we want to go back to that bioclimatic style and focus on the materials used, because those buildings actually helped with thermal comfort. The next question, which is number 4, to what extent do the selected retrofits improve thermal performance? And this is going to be done under simulations and building performance modeling tools. And after that, we want to find out what technical factors influence the successful installation of retrofit measures in residential buildings. This will have to do with things like ownership of the retrofit at the end, amongst others. The aim of this research is pretty straightforward. The aim of this research is to develop a low-cost retrofit solution, either individually or in combination, that best improve the thermal performance of existing buildings within the study area. The objective is to identify and access the barriers, to explore affordable retrofit options that can improve indoor thermal comfort, to examine the role of traditional building materials in enhancing thermal performance within existing homes. Number 4, to evaluate the thermal performance of selected retrofits strategies using computer-based modeling and simulation tools. And number 5, to determine the technical requirements for the successful implementation of retrofit measures. The significance of this study is threefold. It is significant because it will affect the users of the buildings. A cooler and more friendly environment will increase their performance. Number 2, architects, builders, and allied professionals. This will provide them a document that can guide them in their bioclimatic approach to design of buildings, and in the global impact, it leads to greenhouse gas emission reduction as well as energy use reduction. The theoretical framework is based on sustainable design theories, thermal comfort theories, and retrofitting theories. They all, in summary, they all focus on using sustainable designs that lean towards the use of local materials and passive cooling strategies in order to reduce the
greenhouse emissions from buildings. The theoretical framework cannot be applied in a vacuum. It has to be applied within a context. And the context for this is the location and the environmental factors. We also have building characteristics and types. We have socioeconomic factors, and we have the thermal comfort outcomes. All these will be synthesized by experts and also by computer simulations before a framework for low-cost retrofits are born. The scope of the study: we want to evaluate existing retrofits and the buildings that we are targeting. Okay, this research aims, yes, to evaluate, yes, existing low-cost retrofits, to know where to apply them and in what combination to best reduce, to best increase the thermal performance of a building. The target buildings are non-bioclimatic buildings that are present within our community, and the outcome is that with context-specific retrofits, we can achieve that goal. So, and this is a conclusion, but one at a time. I just have like 10 seconds. We have selected references, and that's what we are. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ella, for that presentation. Very sharp and then time conscious. Right now, just as we have been following, there are people that were given this work. We have 3 of them here. We believe they have gone through the work, and they are going to report back to us and make comments and make contribution to the work. And after that, we now welcome comments from many others that probably in the process of presentation notice certain things that he needs to act on, and then you can now make such an observation. Or probably to buttress some of the comments by the 3 people that have read through the work. So at this point I will call on, we have 3, Professor Olajisa, one of them. We have Professor Ebele, Kowe, and then we have Dr. Inusa. So these 3 people have gone through the work, and then they will help us in the discussion. So we'll start with Professor Olajisa.
Thank you very much. This is very interesting, and I'm excited that we are coming to that. When I did my MSc, that was where my MSc was on adaptive reuse and retrofitting. Of course, living in America where buildings are much older and the tendency is to want to reuse rather than demolish and do new things. And incidentally, even my first job was a retrofit in a police station and similar considerations, particularly where the weather is a concern. So this is a timely and a relevant topic. I just want to speak to some things. I want to first of all commend you. This is a good start. But I wouldn't talk much about the PG things because we also have our faculty PG rep, so she may want to shed light on that. Let me start from your synopsis. It is very direct. I love your what do I call it? It's very economic. You're not. It's a contrast. Put it this way. Your work is simply put is not very complicated to read. However, maybe in your wanting to be brief, sometimes you are not very direct. Let me use an example. From your background, you have given us the different backgrounds, but you tend to, your own opinion is not very clear. I can't tell. I want to think that maybe this is your own position, but all I tend to see are the people that you are quoting. And so it's important, like I think it was the chairman I was talking about, that in your background you have an opportunity for literature. Well, I know this is a proposal, but you need to go back again and bring out those things that are just giving us the background where your position is. So we are looking at retrofitting from one standpoint, from another standpoint, so that you can now begin to make your own case. Particularly at the end, you didn't start making your case until the last paragraph. And then again, when you get to the statement of the problem, I like that you did not give us preambles, but you now talked about problems associated with, but it's not clear what the actual problem is. Let me just read it. The problems associated with inadequate erratic power supply, poverty, and impending implementation of the GHG reduction policies militate against the use of air conditioning for thermal comfort in residential buildings within Nigeria. Is that the problem?
That is a preamble to the problem.
That's what I'm saying, but yes. I know, but now, without an affordable solution, is, you see, the preambles are suggesting, but you didn't hit the nail on the head as to what the problem really is. Because by the time you get to your third sentence, you said the inability of many existing residential buildings in Nigeria to ensure adequate thermal comfort without mechanical is well documented. Where the problem is implied, but it's not clearly stated. While we appreciate the brevity of this, you need to hit the nail on the head. Then, when we look at your research questions, they actually align with your objectives. But I have a little challenge with your aim, because you said the research aims to develop a framework for low-cost retrofit solutions, individually or in combination. It's not. You need to recast this. And then you decided to go with the significance, which is okay. But I don't want to use the word, but for lack of a better word, let me be the devil's advocate. My house in Jos, because it's designed by an architect, and certain things have been taken into consideration, I do not necessarily have to have any form of mechanical ventilation. My house is not stuffy. It's only stuffy if I don't open the windows. I may have some little daylighting challenges, but in terms of ventilation, by the grace of God, I don't need, even in the heat season, because the issues of headroom and other things have been taken care of. So I'm a little bit concerned about the range of when this is going to be talked about. Unless you are going to take your study to some place like Yola, which is the junior. Let me keep that comment. Okay, that's yes. I just want to take it to one place that is as if they just have some kind of furnaces or volcano in Nigeria that is just refusing to ahead. This is a hard sell. This retrofit is a hard sell, and I'm not going to say anything more because I believe that others will talk about the technicalities. But I'm only going based on what you said about the significance. It's a hard sell for me, for Jos. I'm not sure thermal comfort is the problem. Maybe for you, but for the average Nigerian, I think unless you're talking about heating, maybe Then you talk about infiltration, you talk about the R value and all those technical things. And then if you look at it from that, but when you mention air conditioning, honestly, you're locking us in to something that you may not win. But if you look at it in the totality of infiltration, energy loss, and things like that, maybe I can buy it. And for the windows and all the heat loss areas, perhaps. But for just an AC, it's a hard sell.
Yeah, thank you very much, Professor Oladisa, for the comments and observation. We now call on Professor Ebele to bring her comments.
Thank you, Chair.
You're welcome.
I thank God for.
Please be cautious, we have 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, I just want to say I thank God for being second because everything that Professor Oladisa just said now, because I highlighted all this in the school too, saying why Jos? And I was about to ask whether we just do a quick demographic. How many people in Jos have ACs built into their houses, either designed or have subsequent, even with the global warming that we talk about. If your house was designed by a professional in Jos, your biggest problem will more likely be heat loss during the harmattan, rather than whether you're lying cold or heat. Because most houses in Jos, if you just open your window, in fact your problem will be dust. The breeze there's a lot of cross ventilation, so it will be a hard sell, as she said. Air conditioning, we are dependent on air conditioning in Plateau or Jos in particular. So I had asked in the scope whether you widen your sample area. Even in Plateau, there are states that are, local governments that are warmer than Jos. So Jos may not, if you want to stick to Plateau, maybe you look for some, I'm not too sure which of them are, but I know some of the local governments are much hotter than Jos. Kanki can be what? So maybe you consider it don't depend, your data cannot probably, you probably won't get enough data on the talking of mechanical means in just to be able to achieve this. I made some corrections about aim, which starting with the comments that the dean made to the first candidate. If you read it very well, you find out that your aim has to be your title with the use of the proper adjective in front of it, so that you can keep us in the same line, because it looked as if your aim here was at slight variance with what your title was. There are some issues, editorial issues, of course, PG board, which I've highlighted. If there's anyone that is not so clear, you can let me know and I'll explain better. But in a nutshell, in the title, you mentioned something about existing housing stock. And earlier on, Professor Jimo had talked about palatial structures. Why can't we just say palaces? Housing stock, can't we just say houses? Why are we complicating the unnecessary terms? Because they'll ask you what defines that, especially since in your list of operational terms, you didn't make any reference to what a housing stock is. There was another one that's context-wise. Also, okay, when it has to do with the fact that you mentioned, I think it's in your scope of your study on page 12, you mentioned that the study focuses on retrofits for largely tenement houses. Yes. And I also expressed a bit of concern here because it is rare for you to see a tenement house in Jos that has factory design added air conditioning. In fact, tenants had it. Most, I have not even met a single, I don't think I've ever seen one. Even homeowners, as I said, when homeowners don't put it, you are going to find you may struggle to find a reasonable sample size of tenant houses where that may be, except you can prove otherwise, because it's an expense that most landlords are not even ready to. How much do you charge as rent? So you might have to do maybe hotels, guest houses, but tenant houses. Okay, should we invest? No. So maybe you will need to struggle somewhat to find those, but if you can find, because you are saying that the information will be used for both tenanted and owner-occupied housing, which is the fact. Any finding you have from the tenant housing will be used can be used for any kind of housing. That's why I say you should make it generic and use the word houses rather than housing stock, as if there's a particular type of structure that is defined by housing stock. And that brings us to this list of operational terms. Even in the context of research writing, once your operational terms are terms that have a definition by somebody else or by a dictionary definition, it no longer becomes an operational term. That just becomes a literature review. You have told us what somebody else said. So your operational terms should actually be words you are using in the context of this study that are unique to this study, which means you don't expect to see any citations whatsoever. We're using the word bioclimatic design. We all know what we can Google that, but there must be a term, there must be a way you're using it in this study that you have to explain. So all these references that are there should not be there. As I said, PG standards has a lot of there are a lot of editorial things that need to be taken care of. But most importantly, please be sure that you're using UK spelling, using a lot of US spellings here that are sneaking in, which is typical of a lot of systems we're using today. And you have single sentence paragraphs, notably on page 13. Paragraph cannot consist of just one sentence. Either add more or add it to something else. For your references, the PG handbook says we should have single spacing on the references, double spacing between references. So you have to format completely to single space, double space between. And this is a word of, I call it advice or caution to all presenters. Anytime you're presenting your thesis draft for a committee to look at, your supervisors must have signed both. And the reason for that is that there's no way we can be sure that your supervisors have okayed the work, sanctioned it to go out if there are no signatures. This is departmental present, in fact the very first presentation, so we can ask them, we can call them and ask them if it's true. But at any other level, it will not be accepted because it is assumed the work bypassed the supervisors, even though their names are here. Please be consistent in whether you're using prof, P-R-O-F, which is allowed, or professor in full. I notice that you interchange occasionally, and we joke about this a lot when we say, I want to thank my wife and my siblings, and their names are not here. Please add the names of all these people that you're thanking. We don't want to thank an anonymous person. And your supervisor, I said, please help me confirm your name, because I always know you as Umaru. You have corrected it there. You corrected it there. But I said, this is not the person. You also noted it ahead. The order of the name is not correct. The supervisor's name. Since we use first name, the second name, last name, then it should be Nasiru Awal Nasiru. But at least Umaru is the surname. So we have to arrange it in the order that is correct. Umaru is the surname.
So it's Nasiru Awal.
Umaru is the surname. So it is either he prefers to use Awal Nasiru Umaru. So it's that's the order in which you put it. So you correct it on the So I think that's it. Then you have some sections where you introduce your theoretical framework, which is correctly labeled. You now introduce subsections 1.61, 1.62. The PG school does not recognize that. So you can either give them serial numbers, but when I read through it, I felt they were not even needed at all. So it just expunged the headings, just because you gave us the theoretical framework and then you explain how it dovetails into your conceptual, which is standard. So you don't need to highlight the heading for conceptual framework. When you read through it, we see how the transition comes out. But I think that's any other one is in the context of the work. Let me just say as a whole, right? Just my overall impression of the work was, I don't know, sorry, I'm scratching a bit. Okay. Do you ever watch the cartoon Incredibles? Yes. Incredibles, Mr. Incredible. And that little boy that used to wait outside Mr. Incredible's house every blessed day. And he went, he asked the boy, what are you waiting here for? And the boy said, something amazing? Because he just had this impression that this man was, he just looked at him and said, this man is going to do something amazing. So I think that was when I was reading it, I was like, what am I waiting for? Something amazing? So I'm hoping that this will give us that something amazing. Yes. Because I just have a lot of expectations on him. I don't know if it was not enough, but you can write about the stars, and if you write it well, I'm sure you do justice to your work. So I'm just waiting. I'm Mr. Incredible. I'm waiting.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Prof, for those comments. Can we have the comments from Dr. Inusa Yaptor?
Okay. All the other assessors, at least they have mentioned some other things that I noted. So I wouldn't go into that. Since this one is the first presentation, at least it's not much, so I took time to go through the work. In fact, I virtually read the work sentence to sentence so that I can see the contribution. Actually, the overall organization of the work is okay, but the main content within, I have some issues with certain statements. So, for instance, in your page 1 on the first page, you look at the third paragraph. You mention, you mention existing stock as in contributing approximately 24% of global carbon emission. That's a statement you made. You talk about existing building stock account for 99% of all buildings globally. I don't understand the statement, because when you say 99%, I'm wondering what informed that 99%? Because 99% is quite on the high side of existing global building stock. Then you went further to say in Nigeria, urban centers, in Nigeria's urban centers, a significant proportion of modern buildings lack by climatic disease. How significant is that? Is there a statistics to back that? You just mentioned significant. It's just like a general statement. You understand? So these are the kind of things that you should try to avoid in writing your work. Then your problem statement here, actually, Professor Oladisa talked about it. You did not really capture the problem here, and you did not make the appropriate statement. I made a comment here. I say you should look at the problem in terms of what is ideal situation and what is existing, and then what is the gap. That simply gives you the problem statement. So you should go back to that and review it. Your research questions, you stated you gave 5 research questions here, and in that you are mentioning, you are putting study area. You've already known the study area, so why not just put the name of that area instead of the study area? It looks generic when you put study area to me. So you don't need a subsection for aim and objectives. So I noted it here, you just subsections. Just cancel, remove the header for the subsections, not the subsection generally. You understand? Then you link the aim with a particular sentence that to achieve this aim, certain objectives are set. Then you list them. Then significance of the study, you have not captured that appropriately. You need to look at it in terms of theory, policy, and practice and policy, right? So for you to do that, you know, it's different from contribution. Your contribution will be at the end of the cases. So this one is how is this research significant in terms of theory, this and this? You understand? But your contribution at the end is that how did you contribute So then your theoretical framework, you talked about three aspects here. I will not call them theory. The first one you said sustainable building design principles. The second, thermal comfort theories. Then the third, retrofitting strategies. So these are the elements you combine to come up with your theoretical framework. First is the principle, second, theories. The third one here, strategies. Well, it's not bad, but when you went further, you talk about, you now converted your sustainable building design to theories as against principles. You see, you are interchanging words. Theories are different from principles. Models are different from theories, they are different from principles. So you should be consistent with the use of the words. So actually, Professor Ebele talked about this issue of the conceptual framework. You have to remove those things. You should stick to the theoretical, as you provided the diagram here, which I agree with. The figure here, I agree with it. But within this box, the first box, can you project it for us? You can see that in the first box you put theoretical framework. I think you should remove that theoretical framework there from that box. Okay. Because the entire this thing is framework itself. So you should try to make it legible, because it's not looking clear. It's not necessary you put colors. You understand? You can remove the colors. That dark this thing, it can still look neat. So when you go to your scope, the very first sentence there, you said the research is focused on identifying and evaluating the most effective low-cost retrofitting this thing. I think you have to look back at your aim. That should give you the focus. Then you can now go back to, you can look at other boundaries that define the focus. You can also go further to add delimitations. That delimitations define your boundaries and try to exclude certain things you are not doing. So when you exclude certain things, then people will know. Because if you don't do that, somebody can take you where you don't expect in your defense. So I think I don't have comment on the use of Professor Ebele has already talked about that. Then your references. Generally, you should remove the hyperlinks of this DOI. Just the hyperlinks, not removing the DOI, just the hyperlink. Then I cycled one of the references here. You put book, Google, this link, the web address here. I don't think it's necessary. Maybe you can check the appropriate way to cite this. I don't know whether it's a report or it's an article, you understand, or web page. If it is a web page, there's an appropriate way.
Look at the
page 20, the first reference. Page 20, page 20.
all right.
It looks like a journal. But that is serial and an issue number.
But you see book, book.google.com. So it means it's a book. Google this thing.
I will just actually remove.
So you should go and cross-check.
This is
So
reference.
I think that's my own comments about his work. Generally, there's a kind of, I've looked at the research title. I see, to me, I see low-cost retrofitting solution as can be your independent variables could be within that. and then the thermal performance could be dependent. And then the housing stock, possibly you can change that one, but it's the subject area you are looking at. So that is what I feel. I feel that with this, you can be able to work on this. But the earlier contributors talk about the context. It depends on how he is going about it. Even though I had them talking about AC, but I have not seen. Actually, I don't know if I have not seen anything emphasizing AC in that. What his emphasis is developing a framework for retrofitting. So it depends on how he handles it. This is early stage for us we cannot criticize the context. That's just yet. But if he is able to handle it, maybe he can look at it from the other perspective. Because in JOS, when we talk, naturally we talk about heating, right? I believe that the contributors understand this thing from the point of cooling. That's why they are talking about the AC. So I think if he is going to look at it from the point of heating, then the thesis will go. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yunusa, for comments. Thank you.
Just a question about the reference.
Okay,
The
please.
architecture.
Okay.
Making individual on page. Yes, your Jimo, yes.
It's a mistake.
Okay, because it appeared 3 times, even in the
Oh,
reference.
Okay.
It's,
all right.
it's not Olatunji Jimo, it's just
Jimo and
just
Jimo.
Oh,
Jimo and Jimo.
Mistake.
That's right, I said, it's you. They said, I said, you're not the one.
It's you. Olatunji is his middle name.
That's the middle name. So you don't need to include.
I cancelled it.
I cancelled it.
It's all right, so please take note of that.
So when I can work is here. You have to
Don't do Jimo.
It's all right. Thank you very much, our readers. We enjoy justice in the world. I think mostly when we are having proposal seminars, we dwell on the topic and the aim and objectives. Those are the basic things. And then the statement of problem. Those are the things that we need to look at. So, thank you for doing justice to those aspects that we just listed. At this point, I will give the Dean the opportunity to say 1 or 2 things as he is supposed to be in the office now attending to other issues. So he wants to make his comments now, then can excuse him.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation, Ella. You can see that. First of all, I want to talk about the PowerPoint. As you're presenting, it looks like as if you copied from the text and just, you're presenting. It's not looking like a PowerPoint. You understand? There are, yes, topics that are heading, like aim and objective and appearance abilities. The other things, you see, in PowerPoint, I've said it here many times. If you're going horizontal, at least maximum 6 words. Then going down 6 words. Those 6 lines should be, 6 lines. Vertically 6, horizontally 6. But when you look at what will happen, you understand? It's not looking like PowerPoint. More like as if you lifted the main work and then you did it as you understand. So PowerPoint should be PowerPoint. Point with power. Yes, point with power. Okay? And I want to agree with other discussants about the statement of the problem, what they said, right? Towards the end, you mentioned something. You put recommendation, and I said at this point that we're talking of recommendation. You said this identified problem and recommendation. Recommendation at this point? You understand? You're already going.
That's page 4.
Okay. Yes, the work is done. And then you are recommending the work. Yes. So what's the point? So we have to be careful with words.
Page 4, page 4, line 4.
Yes. Yes. Now again, let's go back to the topic. It looks a a little vague.
So in your slide, go back to the topic.
You know, it takes me to, it's a bit vague. And we've been arguing with the chairman, you understand? And it's not really giving us a specific, the actual context. We are talking of locals, and then we're talking of housing stocks. So what exactly are you talking about? Is it the locals, even the locals? Are you talking about the Shagari, whatever, the street locals, federal locals, or affordable? Because even other houses are affected by this. You understand? Whether locals or expensive or whatever is affected by, you understand? So the housing, which one are we talking about? You understand? So we're just going round and round, and I say, why not sustainable retrofit strategies for. And I always get scared when I see enhancing. Can you measure enhance? What impact enhance? You know, can we really measure it? Because we need to be able to celebrate or bring to, you know, light what we can measure. Alright? So I can't see how we can, if you remove the enhance, I'm still for thermal performance, will it be out of place? So if we say sustainable, is it affordable housing or housing stocks? Because the locals, like I said, it's not really giving me, you know, the real idea as to whether, if you say locals, is it those houses built in locals houses by government for low income? Yes?
I have a clarification. When you look at it, is the low cost retrofitting solution? Is the solution that is low cost, not the.
No, but what I mean, no, but the housing itself, even the high cost buildings, are they not affected?
Yes,
with this situation.
Yes.
So can't we get a word?
To qualify the housing.
Yes, to qualify the housing.
Okay.
You understand? Why just locals and not expensive houses?
What I'm trying to say, sir, what I'm trying to say is the solution specifically. You take the solution aside.
Yes.
Is the one that is referring to as low cost, not the housing. That's the point you're making.
Still,
we can still look at the housing
Yes.
and qualify that one.
Exactly.
Without taking the solution.
It's okay.
Yes.
But then qualifying it, what kind of context?
Yes.
What kind of stock
Yes.
are we talking about?
will you be able to cover all the types of housing?
Exactly. So which one is mostly affected? You know, we must have some data to be able to, you understand? You must have something that will now take it directly to that, you know, context. Do you understand? So again, you talk of existing. So are you only dealing with the existing? Don't you think what you're profiling can also help even the ones coming? So if you don't leave it just to existing, so what if the ones coming are facing the same situation? You understand? Since it is a framework, you should be able to deal with existing and even what is coming. You understand? So you may wish to consider it existing. That enhance and existing. And then again, give us a word that will qualify the housing you are dealing with. Do you understand? Ella? Okay? Then the next thing is, okay, I've talked about the statement of the problem. Also, the aim and objective has been stated. You understand? So I will not want to talk about it. The significance, please just follow what the PG guideline says. I'm begging you, all of you, I'm begging you. Put it in paragraph. Even if you have a particular, you know, category, you understand? Let it flow as a paragraph. Don't give it heading. You understand? Then your theoretical framework. There's somewhere you talked about the conceptual. But we didn't see the diagram. There's no diagram for the conceptual. So you only brought out that of the theoretical. And then the theoretical, you didn't say whether you're adopting or you're adapting. So it is just hanging. They're just telling us this is what is this is the theory that's that is being used. but are you going to use this theory? So you tell us whether you're adopting or adapting. Is that clear? Now, the last one is architecture exposition. As you know, when I looked at the whole work, I said, can somebody in engineering do this work? But here our own field is architecture. So I've not seen the architecture exposition. We're architects. Even the engineers can deal with thermal issues. Is that not so? Urban planners, can they deal with thermal issues? The service engineers, can they deal with you understand? So what is the connection with architecture as far as this study is concerned? We should be able to see a relationship between architecture and what we're talking about. Yes, when you say houses, architects will deal with houses. You understand? But in this context, how can we bring the architect? What is the role of the architect in this study? Even how, yes, estate can do a thing like this. But then we want to see the architectural flavor. I mean, yes, you understand? But talk about how the architect sees this situation and want to apply this in the retrofitting. Okay? Yes. Again, the context like sir mentioned. Yes, is it going to be we have to deal with heat? Like Jos, we know it is very cold. So the thermal we can look at it either in the aspect of heat, the heating. Is that also not necessarily even the cooling? Again, sometimes in February and March, the temperature can also, but it's not significant. Once your orientation and your fenestration are properly placed. Like my house, I don't really need it. It can be hot from outside. Once I enter my house, it becomes normal. You understand? So, architecturally, if we do the proper orientation, it can solve that problem. But then, at the peak period, like the rainy season, this season, it was so cold. You understand? So all my windows were shut. Now I'm looking for So to use the room heater, how can I use the building itself to be able to get to achieve this thermal comfort without using the artificial, generation? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jane, for
on that note,
comments.
I want to make I think this is a very, very interesting session.
It's all right.
And I want to congratulate the department. So keep the flame burning.
Thank you very much. All right. Thank you very much.
I'll say my phone number.
No problem.
Yes, I'll send my account number.
Send to him.
Please, Bala should be giving another admission.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So I'll see you when I see you. Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right. I think at this point we welcome other comments from colleagues. Professor Jimo.
Can we have...
And then let us be brief, please, because we have exhausted the time.
Can we have the research questions?
Just fast talk. Research questions.
You see, some of us, we did some work on grammar studies, so based on that's why I'm making this, some of these comments. You can do a thermal study in the North Pole. You can do a thermal study in Zamfara. So it's not a function of the temperature. All you are saying is that how do people relate with that temperature? So it can be both ways. Now you are talking about the cost of the fitting devices. In the body of work knowledge, it is not an issue. You are going into a territory that might give you problems. For instance, if you do thermal study and you discover that heating devices are needed, heating devices are not cheap. So So I try to downplay the cost of the retrofitting material itself. Now, if you look at your research questions, I think there's a need for you to look at the order. Your work is based on the assumption that there is a thermal challenge problem. You need to, first of all, establish that so that we know whether we are going positive or negative, whether you are looking at Sahara Desert or you are looking at something like North Pole. So you must start with that. You need to do a study to ensure that, to establish what level of thermal comfort is required. Then research question number 3, you are going into something that I don't know how you survive that, because you are introducing an aspect that is also can become somebody else's PhD work, because you are introducing materials, traditional materials. It's as if you are not yet sure what direction you are going. Okay, let's bring I also want to advise that you be careful concerning that. If possible, expunge it. As you go on, maybe you might finish. But I promise you that's a research area that you might find difficult or you might lack materials for it. Okay, I think that's all that I have.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Any other person, HOD, sir?
Thank you, Chairman. Let's go back to the topic, because this is a proposal. Let's go back. Let's start from the
Yeah, HOD, we're waiting for you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Actually, you see, students are in the habit of choosing high-sounding words in writing. Just, they can use simple words, clear statements to bring out their topics. But we tend to use very high-sounding words, maybe to prove that, yes, what we are seeing is complex or is. No, I think PhD is a simple thing. It's just straightforward. Now, this low cost you're talking about, maybe you're talking of passive strategies. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
It's the same thing. In architecture, we all know what a passive strategy means. Sustainable passive strategy solution for thermal performance of existing housing in Jos. Simple. And existing housing in Jos, is it the whole of Jos or is it an area or a zone in Jos? Because I think you should use, for example, performance of existing housing in Jos metropolis. So we know you're looking at Jos metropolis. You're not looking at Jos as a whole, because Jos is a big place. But when you say metropolis, then probably you're looking at the central part of Jos, and that have a focus. To me, that's the way I look at it. So please, let's look at it. Just translate these high-sounding words, very simple words that people can understand. Because it is global. I always say, you are not doing it for University of Jos or for Nigeria. You are doing it globally. Somewhere, somebody in India or whatever, you can look at, Google it and say, oh, yeah, let me look at this inalienable thesis. You understand me? And then you mislead them because, probably the data you collect or things you have done may be very faulty. So please use very simple words. That is what I want to say here. And again, actually, issue of settlement of the problem. The problem, as we said, we always said that one also needs to be very clear. I always say, who suffers from the problem most? You tell us, the group of people that suffers from this problem, and how do you intend to address the problem? It's as simple as that. Including that you are setting about the problem, it's very clear. If you can really tell us that this is, or these are the group of people that suffers from this problem, and this is why they are suffering from this problem. Is it because the material they use in the construction of the residential buildings are those materials that lack the characteristics to delay or to increase thermal performance of those buildings. If it is materials you are looking at, just tell us. Most of the buildings in Jos, I know, they use materials to have those that are old, very old. They use traditional materials. They are still existing in Jos, and even some people don't even recognize that they were built by traditional bricks. But they're performing very well. So you find those ones that are built with modern or contemporary materials too. But then that will give you the opportunity. That will give you the opportunity now. In fact, even do something like what do you call it? Something like let me use what? Like a comparison between the thermal performance of those buildings, those old buildings, and the new ones. You know, which of these buildings perform, has an enhanced performance. But I don't know, because if it is a proposal, I say let me just look at the topic, and because there are a lot of work on thermal performance. I know a lot of work has been carried on this issue or this challenge. I don't know Professor Jumo's work. I know what is circling around something to do with thermal offices. Okay, so you see that is okay. We're not going on housing, so that's okay. But I don't want us to continue to invent the wheel. I would suggest we do some critical reading on this thermal performance of housing, because I can imagine a lot of work has been done on this thing, because it has been an old challenge that we have in the topic. And a lot of people, a lot of architects, and so on have looked at this issue. So let us, we should be very careful not to invent or continue to reinvent the wheel. So I would suggest you do some literature work, literature review, because I believe you can find a focus somewhere along people's work or previous work on the issue of thermal performance. So I think with this, my chairman.
Thank you very much, Anthony. Yes, I think basically we have made our comments. We still have other colleagues who have to say something, or some students who have to ask regarding the presentation. No, he's somewhere.
Yeah, the post provider. Okay, it's not saying anything.
Or we will have to give them time later.
Until everybody is finished.
Any contribution, any comments?
Yes.
Well, if there's no comments, then I, as the chairman, will crown it off by looking first of all at the topic. The topic, as many have raised issues of width, I want you to maybe clearly look at it, because this issue of low-cost retrofit solution, low cost. So immediately it will come to your mind, when you say low cost, people look at low cost housing. So, well, I know in this case you are talking about affordability, isn't it? No, the low cost aspect.
The retrofit and the passive strategies.
So, you better look at it just like the HOD mentioned.
You can make it
That is low cost. You replace with another word. And be specific. Housing stock. You can't be able to study all the housing stock in Nigeria. I mean, sorry, on the so why can't you refer to a particular housing type that will be studied? And that will make your work better than just leaving it open. So you look at that, and then other aspects have been mentioned. Work have not yet been signed by your supervisor, so you yourself did not even sign it. So you don't know whether the work belongs to who. I don't know that. So you are even disowning the work, you yourself. So please, that will not be yourself. We pardon you because it's just a proposal presentation. Then coming to aim and objectives. That's where the challenge is. If you look at my work, you discover that a lot of, just like Professor Jimo mentioned earlier, your first, maybe let's start with research questions. Your first question, I try to say you should refrain. The first thing you need to mention is what are the major barriers? No. I said the first thing that you need to put is probably to say what are the current thermal performance challenges of existing housing stock in Jos. If you are still working with housing stock in Jos, what are the current thermal performance challenges of existing housing stock in Jos? That should be the opening statement of question. And then number two, I think we're even sitting close to him, and I think number two, strike off that particular number two, and replace it with what low-cost and sustainable retrofit strategies are more suitable for improving thermal comfort in these houses. And that should be second question. But anyway, it's here. I've already written them, so just for you to just look at it and then fix them. And I also said number three, you have to also adjust it. Number three should be how effective are these retrofit strategies in enhancing thermal performance compared to existing conditions. You may try to look at it, you can frame it in your own way, but at least if you flow that way, it will be better. And you will now go right down to the last one. And then I said the last one would have been how can affordable retrofit solutions be integrated into local housing for improvement of policies and practice of long-term sustainability. That is where you are going into developing a framework or something like that. Because at the end of the day, you should propose a framework for integrating affordable retrofit housing solutions, something like that. All of them are fully there. Then coming to the end, since we have done justice to the research questions, the objectives will follow suit. But looking at the end, I propose an end here, just to flow with what we wrote, but to capture almost everything. I said the aim of this study is to develop and evaluate affordable, sustainable retrofit strategies that can enhance the thermal performance of existing housing stock in Jos, Nigeria, with a view to improving indoor comfort, reducing energy demand, and supporting sustainable housing practices in the region using local available materials, aesthetics to promote adoption in future designs. You can reframe it, look at it, but that will capture almost everything that you are talking about, because you are talking about material, you are talking about the heart. So you should be able to speak to those areas. So I think that's that about aims and objectives. coming to your theoretical and conceptual framework, I said your topic should be theoretical stroke conceptual framework. You just wrote theoretical framework and then you went ahead and then wrote conceptual framework. No, the topic is theoretical stroke conceptual framework. Check the. But if you are choosing either one, you are now putting conceptual framework here again. That's why I said you should join. We are discussing the two. So then the topic should at least carry the two. But if you are sticking to theoretical, then you should tell us about conceptual framework. Okay? And that's why, if you remember, the dean told you that where is the diagram for conceptual. So in that case, if you are not handling the conceptual, respond to the conceptual. Is that okay? And well, I think that's that. Other corrections like spellings, other things, you can check it from the work, because the work will be returned to you. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I think now we have come to the end of this seminar, but we cannot end it without giving the opportunity to the supervisors to comment, because probably based on all the comments made, they are looking at it at a different angle. They can guide us and they can say one or two things. So the main supervisor is unavoidably absent, and then we have the co-supervisor is with us. So, she's online. Oh, she's online. So will she speak online? Do we have any speaker that can handle that?
No.
Or you will do that? Okay, thank you very much. So, and we have the co-supervisor now to speak.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you very much, the leaders and all the contributors. Well, as it has been said, this is the first time the candidate is presenting. And of course, as it is always the case with first timers, the comment will be so much. I am happy that he's taking notes. We also have been taking notes so that we can go back and have a proper discussion and begin to realign the questions and observations that we made based on the topics and the candidates' interest area. Unavoidably, the main supervisor who happened to be on sabbatical all the way carefully. However, we've been discussing, I think we were even chatting with her now as we speak. She would have wished to make some comments, but I think for the line of communication we made available does not allow two-way communication. I wish to call her, but I think due to time, maybe we probably will have to leave that so we can have discussion with her and the candidate afterwards. So with all that said, I think most importantly, I want to sincerely appreciate those who took their time and went through the work. I'm sure if we receive the feedback and the feedback is being reviewed and reviewed properly, the work when next it comes back, it will be seen to have been upgraded significantly. I thank you all for your contribution, even those who did not contribute, who have contribution in their mind. I know they will bring it. I thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, co-supervisor. So as I said earlier, we've come to the end of today's seminar, and we deeply want to appreciate each and everyone for their contributions and for making it a success. At this point, we will ask the students to excuse us as we take our decision on the presentation we've had. So please, you don't need to go very far. Just stay around so that we can quickly come back and round up the session. Okay.
No, I want to say it here.
Oh, we are not